We went to our 20-week scan, and within 2 minutes of the ultrasound, the sonographer put her things down and said, I'll be right back.
The shift in conversation went from your child's not going to survive to, well, your wife might not survive either. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, we just went for an ultrasound and now I could lose my son and my wife.
Gosh, your breath is so smelly.
My brother's wife kept saying, "Hey, you got to meet my friend." So I shot her a text, and then she reached back out, and then we just have been an item ever since. So
Very true. We always knew that we wanted to have a family together.
yeah, you ask all the tough questions at the beginning. What's your favorite color? Do you want to have more kids? So we got the tough questions out of the way early.
When we decided to get married, I came up here officially. I'd never been to Idaho before that. I fell in love with it. The mountains and the lakes and the kind laid back vibe that everyone has. I wouldn't say that we planned fully to get pregnant with Remy, but we went and got a test, and then we knew, and we were like, whoa, okay, that was fast.
I was happy. We both knew it was something we wanted eventually, and when we got the news, we were like, well, we're starting now. So.
Yeah. I remember being shocked, but also just really excited about it because I knew it was what we both really wanted. I was close to 20 weeks. My belly was starting to kind of pop. There were signs that
Something was
off. Really, I was just in a lot of pain. We were really scared, but we would go to do an ultrasound and everything would look okay from what we were seeing. In an abundance of caution, my doctor was like, let's move your 20-week anatomy scan, get it in as soon as we can. Within 2 minutes of the ultrasound, the sonographer put her things down and said, I'll be right back.
I knew something was wrong. I mean, you can see it in their faces.
You could see it, yeah. It was one of those kind of moments where you're just like, everything kind of shifts on its axis a little bit. And so she comes back in, she had called my doctor and she said, you've got to go to the emergency labor and delivery, like right now, go straight there. And we were like, oh.
Something is seriously wrong. Your heart sinks at that point.
I'm a mess. We went to St. Luke's and my doctor completes an exam and basically confirms that I'm in labor. My cervix was dilated and you could see my water bag. And so there was some consultation with additional doctors at St. Luke's. We were basically informed of all of our options and we explored them all. What can we do to potentially prolong this as long as possible, because I was 20 weeks and try to get to 24 weeks, right? Like 24 weeks was like that marker. But because of where I was at and the fact that my water was exposed, pretty much any viable options for trying to keep him in there were really off the table at that point.
The team at St. Luke's was basically saying, if you go home, there's a chance something could happen to you if you give birth.
You can wait here, but really the best thing is for us to be able to have you give birth to Remy, because your fertility is at risk and potentially with a severe infection, your life. Time just kind of stopped.
At the time, they couldn't prescribe her anything or do anything to expedite the birth to save her life. That's when the collective got together and told us that our best option was to go out of state.
I didn't even know that the laws were what they were. I just moved here and I think we were like gobsmacked. We were like, excuse me? To have doctors be like, our hands are tied, but our medical recommendation is that you need to be able to move forward in this process for your own safety and health, but we can't do that for you here. Our care team, from our doctor to the consulting doctor at St. Luke's to the nurses, everyone was devastated by what was happening to us. I get emotional when I remember this. I had to be like thunder jacketed down onto the gurney to try to minimize any movement that could potentially break my water while we were traveling. And 5 or 6 people lined up like as they wheeled me out, just, giving me like pats and telling me that they were thinking of me. So nothing but care.
I never in a million years would have thought I'd be watching my wife get strapped to a gurney and flown in an airplane, and I had to drive to meet her to give birth to our son. On the drive there, I had no idea what was going on. I don't know if she's giving birth, if something happened to her, and it was very nerve-wracking. You just don't understand why this is happening and why we have to go through what we're going through at that point in time.
I get to Utah, get to the hospital, doctor comes to see me. We kind of talk about what happens next. And so I had let her know, I don't want to do anything or make any choices or anything like that until my husband gets here. And she said, of course. And he was still 2 or 3 hours out from me. And I remember like sitting in the room by myself, waiting for my husband and knowing like there's this impending doom. Corey arrived and we were able to ask our questions. I mean, we asked some questions that I can't even like fathom having to ask those questions, but like I needed to know what to expect. If he would be alive and moving and then he would die in our arms. Like I just needed to know what was gonna happen. You're told like we can start whenever you're ready. And I remember just kind of avoiding it for maybe like 30 minutes, 45 minutes.
We knew what we had to do, but we kept holding on for a little bit longer before we took the medication, just to kind of be with them a little longer. And then we were starting to worry about her health, so we ultimately, we made the decision to take the medication.
And then we just turned off the lights in the room and we just waited. And then eventually you just let the team know that you think it's time to push, and gave birth to our son.
He was a little version of us. He had my legs.
Your lips.
Debatable, but he looked like us.
He looked like Corey, yeah. We were informed that I had a severe infection of my placenta, and my body was doing what it naturally was supposed to do to try to protect me from this infection, which was preterm labor. There wasn't anything that we could have done to have known that that was what was happening, to have avoided it. It's kind of one of those things that is just really bad luck.
To hold him in his final moments, you think, okay, why did this happen? What can we do to honor him?
The first thing that we do always is we speak about him by name. I mean, he existed and he was important and he played a role, and he's still very much a part of our family, just not in the way that we would have hoped or wanted. I wear a necklace, and on the back it has his name and his birth date. We're speaking out and being so vocal about our experience, even though it's really hard, because we want to take the pain and we want to put it into something purposeful.
Seeing in the news Idaho lawmakers saying, what happened to us isn't happening. Well, we're the receipts of what's happened.
This is 2025. I wasn't even aware that this was a thing. If your wife is in danger, the doctors can do what they got to do. Not true. I can tell you 100% not true. They want to help, but they can't help because they're hamstrung by these laws.
I work in a male-dominated career field, and I think bringing awareness and advocating, because we go our day-to-day lives, we don't think about this stuff until it happens to you. And no matter what side of the aisle you're on, we don't want this to happen to anybody. It's not a position anyone ever wants to be put in.
Nothing will bring him back, nothing will take away what happened to us, but if we can help and save just one more family from having to go through the additional traumatic experience of not having options and not having agency, then I think we feel like it will have been worth our time and Remy's name to do that. I think the other component of it is that I am currently pregnant with our daughter. This is not the Idaho that we want for her. We would never, ever, ever, ever want her to be in the same position that I was put in. And so this ballot initiative is something that we can tangibly do to make her life better. We want her to be safe and we want her to be considered.
I just don't want the government to ever tell her what to do with her body. As a male, I will never experience that. I will never have the government tell me what to do with my reproductive organs. So it's hard for me to fathom.
I hope that she stands up for herself, she stands up for others, that she has that kind of spirit.
I think it boils down to her being proud of us, so.